Exercise 10. In this exercise, we take a look at Inventor 2014's capabilities with freeform modeling. In this case, we're going to model a bottle, and it's going to be using the Loft tool, some surfacing, as well as we'll do some G2 fillets at the bottom here for a nice curvature continuous body. And a little bit of an offset here for a label recess. So let's begin. Start with a new part. Select the XY plane. And with the XY plane, we're going to go ahead and draw 1/2 of the bottom of the bottle. So I'll take the line tool, draw this out. We want this to be approximately 3 inches. Just bring it over a little bit here. And line it to the center with the relationship of coincident. Okay, now at this point, we're going to go ahead and take the spline. Now there's a couple splines you can choose from. We want the interpolation spline. Glide up to the end point, click and drag it up, click a second, drag it all the way to the far right, get near the end, click, click, and connect. Hit the green check. Now just some things that we want to take care of is we want a very smooth transition when we mirror this over. So we're going to go ahead and draw some little center lines at the end of each one and make sure it's vertical. Okay, now find the smooth G2 curvature continuous spline constraint. We're going to go ahead and select the curve and then the dashed line there, the center line. Do the same over here. You'll see it will smooth out those transitions. So when we mirror it over, it's going to be a nice curvature continuous geometry for a profile. Okay, I'm actually pretty pleased with how this turned out. I'm not going to modify it, but if you did need to modify it, I'm just going to hit escape, click on the point, and you can drag these and adjust how it looks that way. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish sketch. I'm going to rotate out here a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the plane tool and offset. And again, in this case, we're going to go ahead and use our XY. And we want to offset this approximately, let's see here, 8 inches. Okay, oh, actually, that's a little bit far. Drag it back. Let's make it 4.5 minus 4.5. Okay, we'll go ahead and start a sketch on that. And now we draw the top of the bottle. So again, using the same technique as before, and this is going to be a little offset. We're going to click and drag off a line, escape, and then just make sure you align those with a coincident relationship. We'll dimension it. And we'll make it 0.5. And then we'll take the spline tool again, same one we used before, interpolate. And roughly around the same number of dots is probably a good idea. I should say points. And now we'll go ahead and select the line and center line. Use our same little trick to smooth out those ends. And curvature continuous, smooth. You can use tangent as well. the conditions between them, G0 is actually like if you had a chamfer where it's just a straight edge. G1 is a tangency, condition of tangency, like a radius between two lines or at a corner. G2, which is curvature continuous, is essentially, instead of using a radius, it uses a spline. And it's much smoother. That's what you would see on automobiles typically when they're designing them. Okay, so there, it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. Now we can see on both ends here we have these. I'm going to turn off the visibility for that plane. And now I'm going to go ahead and we want to select the XZ plane here. Start a sketch. And we first need to project the end points of those splines here. So just click on all of those. That's going to help us connect our curves. Oops, actually I didn't want to finish that sketch. Actually I'm going to rotate it a little bit. This is near the front of the bottle, so we'll actually go back. We'll go ahead and connect a spline between those. Just with 3 points. Okay. Finish the sketch. These have to be in separate sketches, by the way. These two splines. The second one we're going to draw right now. Again, on the same plane, the XZ. And start a sketch. And once again, use the project. Those ends, you'll get a little point there so that you can link up to it with your sketch. Use the spline tool, connect it, and this one's going to go in quite a bit. We connect it. Alright. At this point, we could go ahead and grab the points and adjust them to give it any shape we really like to see here. You could also add additional spline points if you prefer. If you right-click, there's actually an insert point, and you're able to add additional points just by selecting where you'd like to drop it. Hit escape, you can adjust that. Okay, I like where we're headed with that. Pretty good shape. Again, this is just free form. We're not putting any dimensions in. If you look at the book, you'll be able to see the dimensions if you want to make it exactly to the spec of the book. In this case, we'll let it vary a little bit. Alright, finish the sketch. And now at this point, we go to loft. Sections, we go ahead and select the bottom and the top section. And then over on rails, click in rails and select each one. Now, if one of them doesn't highlight or fails to show the preview, that's an indication there's an issue with your geometry. On this case, we're starting to get a bit of a bulge over here. Right? That's just because it's just a dramatic entity there. What we could do is offset a plane and create another spline there to control that a little bit better. In fact, I'm just going to cancel out and edit this. And kind of reduce that a little bit. It's just a little too harsh. Alright, let's try that again. So loft, select the two sections, click in the rails, and add the rails. There we go. Accept that. That's alright. You can always go back and edit it if it looks a little funny. Hit OK, and you'll see now you have the geometry. turn on some of the visual effects here. I'm not a big fan of that. If I wanted to, I could edit those sketches. In fact, I think I'm going to. Just not too pleased with how that's turned out there. It's really not too rough to go in and make modifications. What you're seeing there is a bit of a shadow effect. There's also analysis here. It gives you a zebra stripe. You can click on that and see if there's any harsh transitions between the zebra striping effect. Industrial designers use this to kind of gives you the effect as if you saw a shiny, polished piano black car and it was under tube lights, and you really could see any sort of deformity that's abnormal or abnormality in a surface this way. Nothing's standing out particularly. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put in a curvature continuous fillet. So we're going to go to the fillet tool. And for the fillet type, we have smooth G2 fillets. Again, so they're curvature continuous, very smooth transitions. It replaces a radius, and thus the transition is smoother. And go ahead and click on this edge here. Right, 0.125 seems to work really well there. And you can change it to smooth G2 and see a little bit of a difference there. Tangent to smooth G2. Alright, now at the top, I'm going to go ahead and put a chamfer. So I'm going to go to the chamfer tool. And we'll put a small one, 0.05. Actually, we could go a little bit higher than that. Maybe 0.07. Alright, at this point I'm going to go ahead and I want to mirror that across to the other side. So what we can do is go to Mirror Tool, select Mirror Body or Mirror Solid. The mirror plane will be this back face, and hit OK. Now if you don't select Mirror Solid, it might not include the additional fillet and the chamfer on the other side, so just be aware of that. Okay, now to make the label recess. Now if you wanted the label recess on both sides, you basically just create it before you mirror. In this case we're going to create after it because we just want it on the front of the bottle. So we'll go ahead and select the XZ plane again, start a sketch, and run upside down, that's okay. Just go over here and flip it around a bit. I'm going to select the baseline here for the label. Make sure it's horizontal. Escape, and then I'm going to go to View and turn on the hid lines here. Okay, now I could go to 3D Model, actually Sketch. Again, we'll use the Spline tool for this. I'm just going to try and follow the geometry on the outer edge of the bottle here. When we get to the top where it starts to bend, you're going to need a few more spline points to help it along. And then connect it at the end there. Alright, now we could fiddle with the points again so we get what we like. Believer that sometimes less is more. So actually if we get rid of some of the spline points, maybe that's not a bad thing. In this case actually I think I'm going to stick with it. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and extrude this. Unfortunately, drawing it on the inside, if I wanted it embossed, I could do it this way, but I don't want it raised. I actually want it recessed, and I forgot I should have actually offset a plane here and dropped it on an offset plane above the surface. So let's just hit the green check mark to get out of that sketch, and let's select the XZ plane, and we're going to offset it. Let's just drag it up until we see it clears the top surface. Hit apply. Select sketch 5, Control C for copy on your keyboard, select the plane on top there, and hit Control V as in Victor. Paste. Okay, and we could hide the old sketch. Now we could go ahead and extrude that. Flip it so it extrudes down into the part. Select Remove Material. One additional thing I forgot to do here, cancel out of there. We need to offset a surface. In fact, I'm going to hide this. We need this offset surface so we can make the recess. And so for that, we have thicken offset. Select surface, select this face, and we want to flip it away. And we want to go ahead and put in the offset distance or the depth. So in this case, we only want it to go about 0.05 or 0.06. Enter. And now we can go ahead and extrude that feature back into it. And we want to go ahead and remove material. Instead of distance, we want 2. Now we get to select the surface. Now you're going to have to right click over the surface first to get select other. And then you'll see face 2. And that's the offset face. Now just verify by zooming up to it. Make sure it looks like it's cutting into it. And it is. It's a little deep actually. It's okay though, we can always adjust that. So there's our recess. Now I'm going to go ahead and edit that definition of that feature there. We're only going to make it 40 thousandths. Okay, go ahead and hide that plane, so turn off its visibility. And now go ahead and put some fillets or rounds in here. And again, you could use the curvature continuous if you prefer. I'm just going to put standard 0.25. Over in this corner. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the sketch fillet to work on that. It doesn't seem to like the spline, so that's why I'm doing it right now. Okay, go back to fillet. And we'll put in 0.05. Select that inner edge there. Okay. Alright, now then we have our label recess. Okay, let's put the neck of the bottle on. Select the top face, start your sketch. Invert to the center. Drag this out about a ½ inch. If yours fits, I'm not sure. Actually, yours might be a little different, depends on how you drew it. So you might have to make it smaller. Go ahead and go about 0.375. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and shell this. So we go to the shell tool. We'll set the wall thickness to 0.03. It's taking its time here for the preview. So we got to select that top face of the neck of the bottle, so it removes it and apply. And also things will speed up if we turn off the visual style to just shade with edges. Now you can see it's hollowed out. Don't feel bad if it doesn't shell. It's pretty much, shelling is very complex, and if there's features that are too small for it to calculate, it's not always going to shell. So sometimes we'd actually have to go in, cut it out if we had to. Actually, in most cases with the bottle, the only time you really need to know what's in there is so you can get calculate the fluid amount in there. Anyhow, now we'll go ahead and put a thread on. We'll just put a thread tool here. Select the face. And you can select the specification, size. Actually, just by scrolling your mouse, you can get the different size or variations. This is just a cosmetic thread. And that concludes exercise 10.